Back when Nintendo showed off Wind Waker for the first time, a lot of people were disappointed. They wanted a dark Zelda game, but what they got was a cartoonish looking boating simulator. Nintendo heard the fans' complaints and created Twilight Princess, the only Zelda game rated T. But is it really that dark? Let's find out. The game starts you off in Ordon Village. It's a quaint farming town with a small population. I get the feeling that Nintendo wanted the people to look somewhat realistic, but to me, it looks like they came straight out of the Oblivion character customization. Scary character models aside, there's nothing edgy about this place. It actually seems pretty peaceful. That all changes once you enter the Twilight Realm. It's here that you meet Zelda, except this time around, she's in a hood. Zant makes an appearance in this same cutscene, but he seems more mysterious and menacing than he actually is. It's clear that some of these cutscenes were trying to be edgy. The most infamous one has Ilya holding a knife for some reason and getting killed by Link. For as many weird moments as this game has, it has just as many, if not more, epic moments. The darker atmosphere helps some of this stuff feel more realistic and impressive. This is by far the coolest version of Link. The best example of this is when he has to joust with King Baldwin on the Bridge of Eldin to save a child. There are also times when Link escapes explosions, without looking like a total idiot. Some of the side characters are a bit different than what we're used to seeing in Zelda. The Uka look like they were meant to be placeholder assets that somehow snuck their way into the game. Returning characters also look creepier than usual. The Skull Kids are constantly grinning and can summon these dancing puppets. The Hero of Time shows up in Twilight Princess, but he's looking a bit older than he was the last time we saw him. You can see the resemblance though, right? The Hero's Shade is kind of like the cooler version of the Hero of Time. You may have noticed that a lot of the darker parts of this game are just things that look disturbing. There's nothing psychologically damaging you. Except for the Mayor of Ordon's butt. That manages to do both things. Let's shift focus to the best part of Twilight Princess, the dungeons. The first dungeon's main premise is finding monkeys to help Link swing over to other parts of the dungeon. It does nothing to enforce the idea that this is going to be a mature Zelda title. The Forest Temple is the first impression of what dungeons are going to be like in this game, so people probably worried that this was going to be a game made for kids to play while headbanging to the only songs that they know. Monkey, monkey, sitting in the street. He's got a T-H-I-C-C booty. His weapon never hits me, it's like he doesn't see. I wish Senpai would notice me. The Goron Mines is fire. Get it? Cause it's actually not. The iron boots being used as magnets is hard to take seriously, and in my opinion, it's just a lame gimmick. The Lakebed Temple fits the darker atmosphere a lot better than the first two dungeons. There's something about underwater segments in video games that feels a bit lonely to me, and this dungeon is no exception. The mini-boss barfing out a treasure chest is one of the more gruesome moments in Zelda's history, and the broken music in the background is what ties it all together. The boss of the Lakebed Temple, Morpheal, is probably the creepiest part of the whole thing. You dive down to the very depths of the dungeon, expecting to see another lame water temple boss, as is typical in Zelda. At first it would seem that way, until the whole eel comes out to fight. It's got two mouths, and that second one can really suck. You win. The Arbiter's Grounds is a fan favorite. It was originally a prison out in the desert, but now it's home to a whole cast of undead creatures. There are lots of spooky tropes like ghosts, skeletons, tiny bugs, and dark rooms. I could see where it would scare a kid, but I don't think it's about that. Arbiter's Grounds tries, and succeeds, in making a shadow desert hybrid dungeon. There are statues that remind me of Ocarina of Time's Spirit Temple, and the quicksand is used quite often. Arbiter's Grounds being considered a desert dungeon would hurt the argument that Twilight Princess is the darkest Zelda game, but I think it's all for the best. Desert dungeons tend to be really good, and I think that without those aspects, Arbiter's Grounds wouldn't be nearly as popular as it is today. Snow Peak Ruins is the eeriest part of Twilight Princess. It's a mansion that's been buried in the snow in a remote mountain range. There's no explanation for why it's there, but currently it's being inhabited by a couple of squatters. The wife claims to be sick and blames it on a mirror. She tells you where she thinks the bedroom key is, but instead leads you to a bunch of food. The first time I played this game, I really thought she was just trolling me. When you finally do get the key, she suddenly gains the ability to move like a cheetah. She would have had to have scaled this wall in order to reach Link as quickly as she did. Pretty impressive for a sick, armless Yeti. When Link's around, she goes back to her charade. Oh, I'm just an old Psych! She's actually evil. Once you defeat her, she breaks out of the spell and there's a sweet reunion between the Yetis. Those are all the dungeons that I'll be covering. But the question still remains, is Twilight Princess the darkest Zelda game? I would say no. Sure, it may have some dark elements, but I wouldn't say that it has as many depressing themes as a game like Majora's Mask. As I said before, there are some disturbing looking things, but nothing left me feeling disturbed. I would even go as far as to say that Wind Waker had some darker concepts. If you want to hear more about that, then you should check out my last video. You should just be able to click on the end screen card and it'll take you right to it. Thank you so much for watching through this whole video. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you have a great day.